I once dumped my hypnotist boyfriend when I brought him a surprise breakfast in bed, only for him to reveal he'd hypnotised me to do it.
David's team.
OK, I think we're going to go true.
When was this, Joe?
It was last week, Rob.
Was it? Really?
Well, it was when I was a student, back in the 1850s. He was doing a show at our uni.
Did he have a stage name, Joe?
The Great Hypnotist, Rob.
It's good. It's good.
That was his stage name, The Great Hypnotist?
No, it wasn't.
No. Well, OK, do you want to make something else up?
Duncan Wilson.
What was the breakfast, Joe?
It was kind of like mushrooms and black pudding, which I wouldn't go near in a million years.
And were you aware that you were doing this, or were you in a zombie-like trance? Were you walking around like this, or were you feeling everything was normal?
I think that's not hypnotism, that's being a mummy in Scooby-Doo.
You would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that pesky kid.
You had no memory of preparing the mushroom and black pudding breakfast?
No, I didn't, David.
Did you have any memory of purchasing the ingredients?
No, and that's because I didn't purchase them.
If someone's just tuned in, they'll think that David's doing an advert for Age Concern. So you have no recollection of buying the mushrooms, Joe?
OK, what's it going to be, truth or lie?
My worry about it is, aren't stage hypnotists... let me put this carefully. Charlatans.
I think there are stage hypnotists who can hypnotise people. I think that's a given.
It's important that some people should think that, or they'd have no audience at all. So, but I'm not convinced that a stage hypnotist could make someone cook a breakfast in a sort of trance.
It's a very good argument, but Joe's just so believable.
Well, what you have to do is separate the plausibility of the people from what they're asserting, because she literally read it off a card. So it's no reflection on her personal integrity, whether it's true or not.
Well, it is, if it's true she had a one-night stand with a hypnotist.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't slept with Duncan Wilson? We'll never know. Maybe we have and we don't realise.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. What do you think, Guy?
I'm actually with Johnny. I believe it.
You believe it?
Oh, you have no grip on your team, do you? This is lovely to see.
It's anarchy.
It's mayhem over there. No. You're like Liz Truss, desperately trying to keep everything together.
What I'm precisely like is Theresa May, who voted against Brexit and then was happy to be the Prime Minister that pushed it through. Just like...
That's much better. Much better, yes. Very good. So, Joe, you've convinced them. They think it's true. Was it true or was it a lie?
It was a lie. After a misunderstanding, I once became a chauffeur for one of the Jackson 5.
David Mitchell.
Which one of the Jackson 5?
Jermaine.
Ah, that's a shame.
So, why were you accidentally a chauffeur?
Well, I was at an event. There were lots of celebrities there. It was at a huge venue in Leicester Square. I was with my best friend's husband.
Oh, that's very broad-minded.
You're at the event. What's the misunderstanding?
Well, this very flustered sort of PR type came up to me and said, "Oh, I've got a terrible dilemma. One of my clients' car isn't here. And do you have a car?" And I said, "Yes, do." She said, "Could you possibly drop my client off on your way home?" But when I said to her, "Yes, I do have a car," she thought I meant a chauffeur-driven car. But I have my own car round the corner. So I said, "Well, I'll just go and get it and sort it."
And what sort of car did you bring?
It was a Saab.
It's a nice car, a Saab.
Saabs
It's
are
not
nice.
It's not the sort of car that you'd expect to be sort of sent for a pop star to be driven away in, though. So
No.
So it's good. It's visually incongruous, but still a quality piece of Swedish engineering.
Which is exactly what I said to Jermaine.
So you pull up outside, and out comes Jermaine Jackson.
With his wife.
Yes.
Oh, right. So now this is quite cramped for a Saab.
What state was your car in? I mean...
Not good. Bird feces on the windscreen. And just like a mess inside.
Really? And how did he react when he got in?
Oh, he was very kind of polite. It was a bit like taking a child to nursery in many ways.
In what way?
Well, he just seemed to be going...
So how dirty was your car?
And there were lots of paps around. So there were like 3 paps on the bonnet of my car.
No.
There were, like, trying to obviously not get my best friend's friend Roland's picture. And
In the papers the next day, who is the mystery man with Joe Brand and Mr. and Mrs. Jermaine Jackson?
just while we're here, very quickly.
Yeah.
One of the dads from my daughter's primary school, he came out of a restaurant at the same time as Barry Manilow a few years ago, and they were papped, and his picture went all the way around the world as Barry Manilow's new husband. So brilliant.
What are you thinking, Lucy? Does this strike you as true?
I'm going to go lie.
Why?
There are a few elements. Driving to Leicester Square, one of them.
That's a very good point. Who the heck drives to Leicester Square?
I had a question about that. Where were you parked?
Yes.
It's always about the admin with David. If this is true, she's been telling this anecdote for years, and no one's ever gone, where did you park?
That's because previously she wasn't in a context where people were going to go, I think you're lying. They were just happy to enjoy the anecdote. Whereas the situation I've been put in is I have to decide whether or not it's true, which means I have to break social convention to a certain extent and be more sceptical about the anecdote than I would be at, say, a party. So, Joe, I ask you again. On the occasion when you picked up Jermaine Jackson from a large venue in Leicester Square, where did you go to fetch your car from? You must remember that walk. You're leaving the event, you're going with your
Do you know
friend's
what, David?
husband.
I disagree.
You're
I
going
think
with
if you
your
were at a
friend's
party,
husband.
you would talk like this.
Yeah. Well, I've never been invited to a party, so I'll never know. You must remember where it was parked.
Well, I don't.
So what do you think then, Joe? Is this true?
No, I think it's not.
I think it's a lie.
Yeah.
I don't just for...
Lucy thinks it's a lie.
Yeah.
OK, we'll go lie. We'll go lie.
You're saying it's a lie?
Yes.
OK. Joe, truth or lie?
It is true. I told my children that every time they lie, a puppy dies somewhere.
Now you've used this line on the children, has it actually stopped them from lying?
Well, it certainly seems to have done.
Yeah.
Because they do care about puppies.
Yes.
It's a bit of a relief, actually, that you're saying that didn't result in your children telling loads and loads of lies and getting excited by the prospect of puppy death. It's heartening on that level.
No,
I
but-
don't have sadistic children.
But it's also bad advice, because what if a dog goes to attack them and they tell a lie and the dog still gets them?
Actually,
That's the nearest. The nearest dog will die.
So you just... Well, statistically, you'd hope via osmosis the lie will kill...
Essentially, you tell the lie, dog death spreads out from you till it finds a dog, the dog dies, and then the wave of dog death stops.
Can I just ask Joe, why a puppy and not a kitten?
She's not sick.
it was a difficult decision to make. It was a toss-up between a kitten, a puppy, and their dad. And kind of puppies are the sweetest.
What is your verdict?
My team say true.
You're saying true, yeah? OK, so, Joe, is it true?
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Right. Once on Christmas Day, I was forced to hitchhike my way home and was picked up by 4 different drivers.
Please do.
Where were you going from and to?
I was going from London down to Hastings.
How old are you?
I was about 17 and a half.
And because nothing was running on Christmas Day, or you were skint?
No, what happened was I was meant to go home on Christmas Eve, but I missed the last train.
So you started your journey in London?
I did.
And how long did it take to get picked up? For the first bit?
Not long, actually, 10 minutes-ish.
And he said...
Would you like to come back and have Christmas lunch with me? I'm very lonely.
Seriously, he said that?
Yeah.
What sort of a man was he?
He was a gay man in his mid-70s.
How far did you go with him? No. I mean, how far on your journey did you go?
I think he drove me about 10 miles, something like that.
So that's the first person.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember the second one?
A woman.
Yes.
Who picked me up round about the Eltham area, I think.
I like a euphemism early on in the show. We've all been picked up in the Eltham area, haven't we?
Actually, you're more accurate than you realise. She actually did make a pass at me.
This is 2 now.
Well, she said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Down to the coast, please."
Oh, my God. Did she go down to the coast?
Well, what she actually did was she put her arm round my neck and tried to kiss me.
She did. What had led her to believe that this was a possibility? What had happened?
The mistletoe on the wing mirror.
Yeah, she tried to kiss me. I opened the door and got out of the car and ran away.
Ah, so that explains the second story. Right, now get to the third one.
The third guy was deaf.
I'll tell you what, if this turns out to be a lie, you deserve a medal for making this as least plausible as possible en route to the story. But, OK, so he's deaf.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I had to write down where I wanted to go.
And you said Hastings on the card?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He didn't say anything. He just started driving.
Oh, that's a bit menacing, isn't it?
He didn't look scary.
And who was the fourth?
The fourth was a farmer. He said that he was fed up with his family, so he took me all the way to Hastings.
So he's having a bad day on Christmas Day and decides he'd rather drive you to Hastings.
Well, he said that he told his wife he was going out for a paper. That's the end, really, because he dropped me off where I was going.
Did you invite the man in for a mince pie or something? You know?
No.
You didn't even invite him in?
No. Do you think that's a bit weird?
I don't.
I think it's the weirdest bit of the story. He's given you a lift all the way to Hastings on Christmas Day. He's the only one who hasn't made a sexual pass at you. He's been entirely honourable. Just give him a little bit of a mince pie and some brandy butter.
So what do you think? There's a lot of detail in there.
I think it's not true.
Based on?
I think it's got too many characters, like a Tarantino film.
The bit I'm doubting is that wouldn't you just write on a piece of paper Hastings and hope someone's going to Hastings rather than anyone going sort of that way and I'll just keep getting out and getting out?
Have you ever hitchhiked? You sound very idealistic about it all. I'm not getting in a car until I go into Hastings. I don't care what day of the year it is. Hastings, no.
Paul does have a point. That's not how it works. You just go a little bit, and then maybe... And that's part of the fun of hitchhiking. So you'll...
Don't try and pretend to me you've ever hitchhiked. I know you well enough. Getting at the back of a Mercedes once a week is not hitchhiking.
I've seen it in films, though.
So Ray thinks it's true.
It's got to be true.
OK.
Too wacky to be made up.
So you think they're too wacky to be made up, you think they're too wacky to be true?
Yeah, I think she enjoyed making them up.
So what's it going to be, then, Lee?
OK, well, we'll say... be it on your head, Ray, but we'll say it's the truth.
Saying it's the truth. OK, Joe Brand. Truth or lie?
It is true.
Yeah, is true. Joe did have to hitchhike home on Christmas Day and was picked up by 4 different drivers.
Last year, I made my husband a birthday meal using some mince I found in the street.
OK, what... Why? Well, why? Why would you do that?
I found a carrier bag on the pavement that amongst other things, had mince in it.
What
I
else
don't
was
know
in
whether
it?
someone had left it there, whether they dropped it.
It wasn't like being clutched by, like, an old woman who was lying on the... You're not being convenient with the truth here, are you?
All right, I slapped her out the way.
What was it? What else was in the bag?
Well, there was mince, and it was wrapped up in kind of a plastic, like in one of those cardboard dishes, plastic over it, so it wasn't loose.
Oh, yeah, it sounds perfectly hygienic.
Yeah, well, it was hygienic.
How do you know, like, a dog hadn't weed on it? I know it was in the cellophane,
Because I sniffed it.
Did you not have any...
You can't buy class, can you?
What did you cook him with the mince?
Well, I can only cook 2 things, a spag bowl and macaroni cheese.
Which one did you go for? I've known you for a while, Joe. Can I just check? Is it your current husband or the first one who died of food poisoning?
My one and only husband.
OK. Oh, it's Chesney Hawkes.
So what do you think, Lee?
I don't know. What do you think, Ray? Is this adding up?
Let's say true.
True.
I think false.
You think it's a lie? You're saying lie. You're saying true. I'm going to say lie.
You're saying lie?
Yeah.
OK. Joe, truth or lie?
It is, of course, a lie.
Thanks, Rob.
Last year, I ate my Christmas dinner in the bath.
David Steve.
Why?
Because we had quite a lot of family round, and I just wanted to be on my own because I was in a really bad...
No, was it on a plate?
That's a horrible image, isn't it?
It was on a plate.
Hold on. So I'm just going to picture the scene, right? You've got your Christmas dinner on the plate, and you just get up to the table and you say, I'm just going off to the bath for a bit. And the family...
I don't think I announced it.
Oh, you didn't?
I was just so fed up with everyone. I just got up, took my dinner, went upstairs and thought, I'm going to have a bath.
But didn't you find it that you got really hot eating in the bath?
I could eat my Christmas dinner in a fire.
Where did you put the dinner when you were running the bath?
On the toilet.
On the toilet.
Did you allow the bath...
Not with... I mean, with a lid on and a nice little tablecloth. No.
Even so, I think it's a bit...
Do you?
It's just the associations, isn't it, of the two ends of the process.
It's like saying to the food, this is where you're going to end up, mate. We both know it. You know it, I know it.
You're going on an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Did you continue to eat your Christmas dinner while the bath was running, or did you pause in that process to sort of save it until you were nice and comfy in the bath?
I had a couple of sprouts, David.
Did you have, like, a tray that goes over the side of the bath? Yeah. You can put the dinner on, or did you have to balance it on your knees?
I had to balance it.
On your knees?
Not necessarily.
If you're balancing it on a part of you, is there not a risk that it will become submerged at some point, which would ruin the dinner? Essentially, you're turning your Christmas dinner into the Maldives in about 30 years' time. When, you know, the bath water of the world starts to wash the sprouts towards the plug hole.
Well, I don't put enough water in the bath for that. In fact, you know, I don't hardly need to put any water in the bath.
OK. What do you think, David? What do your team think?
I think maybe you had a bath, but you didn't eat your Christmas dinner there.
Yeah, I can believe that Joe has had baths and has eaten Christmas dinners. I don't believe she's ever combined the two processes.
I think she might have done.
Oh, you think she might have done?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought we were heading towards consensus there, but in a very Christmassy way, we're very much at loggerheads.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think, seeing as I feel a little bit 50-50,
Yeah.
Oh, no, that doesn't help at all, does it?
Well, no, it does. Because if you're 100% it's true and you're only 50%, it's...
Who said I was 100%? I'm about 80.
All right. I'm going to need a pen. This is why I keep saying I need a spreadsheet. OK, we're going to say true.
So they're saying true. Joe, eating your Christmas dinner in the bath. Truth or lie?
It's a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Joe didn't eat her Christmas dinner in the bath.
I once got on the tube with a live pigeon in my pocket.
David's team.
Why was the pigeon in your pocket?
It was quite badly injured.
Oh, so you were being a good Samaritan to pigeons?
Ish, I was a bit peckish.
You hadn't yet decided. Could go either way.
What had happened to the pigeon?
What happened to it?
Yeah.
Went very nicely with some roast potato. No, I took it to, actually to the local vets when I got home.
So where did you find...
It was lying on the pavement.
And what was the nature of the garment in the pocket of which you placed the pigeon?
It was a clown's outfit.
And it's your own fault for standing on it in the first place with your big feet.
It was a duffel coat.
A duffel coat. But did you think about just carrying it, or did you think I'll put it in my pocket? Because if it's a pigeon that's struggling, I think it's probably causing it more pain.
It was beyond struggling. It was
a dead pigeon.
A dead pigeon.
It was kind of really knackered and...
Can I ask, were you going to somewhere when this happened, or were you going back home?
I was going to somewhere.
So you went to a meeting, possibly a high-level TV meeting, about...
There are other places available, David.
I'm just guessing, with a pigeon in your pocket.
I like the fact you gave it two options, a meeting or a high-level TV meeting.
I'm trying to imagine...
I was going to the local hospital to have a smear.
While it was in your pocket, did it start flapping?
No.
So it was just completely quiet, but not dead, in your pocket. Did you have some seed in your pocket?
Of course she did. We all carry emergency trill.
What are you thinking, Kimberly? Does it have the ring of truth for you?
I think it's a lie. I've saved a pigeon before, and it was quite badly hurt.
Oh, here we go.
It was really flappy.
Am I the only person that hasn't saved a pigeon?
I haven't.
No, I
I have a hard time
Yeah.
believing it would sit in the pocket.
What were the circumstances for you, Kimberly?
I was at my flat. My now husband was gone, and I...
I'm sorry to hear that. Very brave of you to talk about it on the show.
There was a lot of commotion outside, so I went to look, and there was a pigeon struggling. But I was worried to touch it because I thought of diseases and things, so I left it and had to go away and think what to do.
So what did you do?
I tweeted about it.
Did he tweet back?
Well, somebody did, and they sent a cab to get the pigeon to take it to the Wildlife Foundation to save it.
I really don't believe this.
So what are you thinking, David?
Well, Kimberly, what do you think? You think it's true?
I think it's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
I think it's a lie.
Lie? I think we think it's a lie.
OK, you're saying lie. Joe, truth or lie?
It is a lie. At school, I once rubbed stinging nettles all over my face and told my teacher I was ill so I could go and meet a boy in a graveyard.
David's team.
True. So this was a date in the graveyard. Was the boy living?
He was just before we met, yeah.
And these, Joe, you say these are your school days, so we're talking about the 1990s. Now, what was the...
Yeah.
It's my way of being flattering and gentle and chivalrous, you say. Chivalrous. When was this, Joe?
The 1890s.
That would have been the late 60s, actually, early
Late
70s.
60s?
Yeah.
Gosh, OK. So when you walked into the graveyard like this, he must have been shocked to see you.
Rob, he was pleased to see me. He knew what he was going to get.
Whoa. What was he going to get?
I bought him a cake.
So freshly nettled, you go off, you go and find your teacher. What happens then?
Well, I say to the teacher, I'm really not feeling well. I don't know whether I ate something for lunch that's given me some sort of allergic reaction. Can I go home?
I mean, I don't know. I've never run a school. But are you allowed, if a child says they're ill, you're allowed to just say, yeah, off you go?
Well, I said to her that my mum was at home and I live within walking distance of the school.
It was the late 60s, early 70s. Very different time. Children hadn't long stopped going up chimneys. So what do you think?
Oh, I
Johnny?
think it's so unfeasible, it's probably true, don't we?
Well, that's the wrong way to reason. It should be unfeasible things are less likely to be true.
Yeah, but...
Although the true things are deliberately picked to be unlikely.
Exactly.
I travelled here by car, for example, never come up. That would be easy.
Sorry, can I just check something here?
Yeah.
Why do you get a car?
Yeah, it's a class thing, you know.
They still shouldn't make me drive your car.
Right, Joe, in the graveyard with
What
the
do you
young
think?
man.
It's
True?
Because it sounds so unlikely.
Yeah.
I still think it's flawed reasoning, but we'll go true.
You're saying that it's true?
Yeah.
Right, Joe. Truth or lie?
It is a lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Joe didn't rub stinging nettles over her face to get out of school.
I was once favourite to win an athletics event. But ended up coming last after an incident in a toilet cubicle.
David's team.
Well,
Right. OK, what was the athletics event?
It was a javelin.
The javelin, and when were you entered into a javelin competition?
When I was at school.
How old were you?
I was about 16.
And you were the favourite?
I was.
Why?
Because I could chuck it a long way.
How far roughly?
Probably...
For God's sake, make it less than 110 metres, which is the world record. Give yourself a fighting chance.
111 metres. No, I would say about 20 or 30 metres.
Were you also good at running fast?
Ha, ha, ha.
I mean, to be fair, I think that was a genuine question.
Oh, I see
get
you
the
mean
momentum to
running.
throw it.
Yeah, OK. I did actually, for a short time, hold the 100-metre record for our school. That was because I was having a fag behind the bike sheds and I heard the dinner bell.
What was the incident in the toilet that handicapped your performance?
I was preparing for a sports day, the afternoon, so I went in the toilet to have a fag, and I had a box of matches, and I struck one to light my fag with, didn't blow it out properly, put it back in the box, and the box exploded in my javelin-throwing hand.
Oh. Wow. So this is a story about a serious burn.
Yeah, so I had to throw the javelin at sports day with my left hand.
Well, Johnny, what do you think? How does this strike you?
I think it could be true.
And you think it's...
True.
OK, true.
You are saying it is true. Joe, truth or lie?
It is true. I once ignored a fireman's order to evacuate a building because I assumed he was just a bloke in fancy dress.
Please, team.
OK, when was this?
When I was at university in 1841.
Were you the only person who didn't leave?
No, I don't think so. It was a student party. It was sort of fancy dress.
Oh, you were all in fancy dress. OK.
Yeah.
What had you gone as?
I think I took a pretty easy option and I went as a Roman.
Well, what were you wearing?
Yeah.
A sheet.
It's not a Roman.
Oh, not a Roman soldier, just someone who's around in the Roman era.
A senator, not a centurion.
A Roman or a ghost?
So, first of all, where was the fire? Was it in your room?
Well, it was a fire alarm. I wasn't in the proper party bit. I was in my room with the door shut.
So how did the firefighter get in touch with you if you were locked away in your own room?
Well, he banged on the door and went, "Fire service."
With all due respect to your sheet, you must have been quite impressed with his costume.
How did the conversation go?
Right, I was in my room with someone else. We were busy.
Who were you?
Is this how the fire started? Because I know what you're like, Joe. You like to set fire to them.
Actually, we were revising.
Oh, right. What was he dressed as? You were a Roman. What was this other person?
He wasn't dressed as anything.
So there's a banging. And
There's a banging on the door.
And you stand up. Now, Joe, I expect better
Yes,
of David,
Rob.
who was the first person to titter. Let's try and have a level tonight, please. Joe, there was a banging.
On the door.
Banging,
yes.
banging, banging, banging. And then you heard the door. What happened?
What happened was this guy shouted, "Fire, please leave the building," right?
Yes.
So I just thought it was some drunk bloke mucking about.
Yes, yes.
So I said, "Could you please go elsewhere?"
What was your gentleman caller's reaction? Or was he still unconscious?
My gentleman caller was the same as me, very entertained.
What do you think, Henning? Is she telling the truth, yeah?
There is a few inconsistencies in that story.
Like?
Well, the thing about the fire, I don't believe.
We could stop there, then.
It's not, to be fair, an inconsistency, is it? There's nothing inconsistent about it. It's just it either happened or it didn't. It's not like a fire and I was in a lake. That would be an inconsistency.
So you're picking holes in Henning's command of the English language.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should continue the rest in German to give him a fighting chance, yeah? Well, Simon, what are you thinking?
Part of me thinks it could possibly be a lie.
You're going to say lie because you think that this story has got inconsistencies?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to annoy David now.
I think I go with Simon.
So you're going to say it's a lie?
Oh, absolutely. With them kind of inconsistent.
OK. Joe, were you telling us the truth or were you telling a lie?
It was, in fact, the truth.
It's true. Joe did ignore a fireman because she thought he was in fancy dress.
This box contains everything I need to play my family's favourite festive game.
All right, so could you now take the contents out and put them onto the desk, please? Oh. Well, it's a plastic cup. Water. Pen there. Sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Well, it looks exciting.
What you do, right, is you get the glass.
I'm a bit nervous about what you're going to do. Oh, all right. There we go. A little.
You come up with a category.
A category, yes.
Yes. Like.
Ah! Sorry, I've got cramp in my foot. Just bear with me a minute.
Like diseases of the knee.
Keep thinking. You're right. That's better, thank you. Carry on.
So
you've come up with a category, yes.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to start the game off. So I think of something in that category, and I write that down on a bit of paper.
Yes.
You have got to come up with something from the category.
Yes.
Which is trees.
Yeah.
So you each say a tree. And if anyone says the tree that I've written on the paper, I throw this over them.
Oh, let's play it. Let's play it. We'll give you a category. The category is things you might find in a Christmas dinner. So food items in a Christmas dinner. Right, now fold the paper up. Don't let them see it.
OK.
OK. Now, Joe, Lee and Joe Swash are your sons. They've come home.
No.
They're back from the youth detention centre.
Would you like my friend Robert to play? Yes. Rob, my mum says you can play.
Thanks.
You can come in and have a play. We're all playing the game.
Oh, hang on a minute. No, wait a minute. I'm being told that my desk is not waterproof.
Oh, yeah.
But you're... No, seriously, but this is...
Oh, hang on, yes.
Yes. Now, my desk also. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I've just been told my skin is soluble.
I'm telling you the truth. That's what they're telling me. So remember now, boys, the category is things in a Christmas dinner. Get ready. Here we go. Let's get the tension.
Sorry.
OK.
Yeah.
Lee Mac, something you'd find in a Christmas dinner.
OK, I'm going to go for a... nut roast.
Ooh. Oh, the tension there when she said
That was,
it.
yeah.
Wow. OK. Joe Swash.
A Brussels sprout.
Oh, it's back to Lee.
This is unbearable. Absolutely unbearable.
This is a great game.
I'm going to go for a carrot.
Ooh. Oh, Joe Swash.
Pigs in blankets.
Oh, Lee.
Double look me.
Turkey.
Oh, the
Joe Swash.
This is an unbelievably stressful game.
Yorkshire pudding.
What are you talking about?
That's not allowed.
I have Yorkshire pudding in my Christmas dinner.
No, this is...
Yes, only because it's the sat nav for Brussels sprouts.
Gravy.
He said gravy as well.
Gravy.
He said gravy. Lee Mac.
Gravy.
Cranberry sauce.
Joe Swash.
Bit of turkey.
He said turkey. He said turkey. No.
OK, I'll go with some carrots.
He said carrots.
Right, I'll go with some stuffing.
That's the happiest thing that's ever happened to me.
Was that game genuinely something that Joe plays, or did she just make it up? Truth or lie?
Even if it's not, to come up with that on the spot is brilliant. I'm playing that on Christmas Day.
Oh, it's a brilliant game. If Joe invented that game in the last few seconds, reading off a card, then, well, she'd be a genius.
OK, so what's it going to be? Truth or lie?
We're going to say true.
OK, Joe. This
it's
incredible Christmas game.
Oh, my goodness.
Truth or lie?
It's true.
Yes, it's true. Joe does play the game every Christmas.
My husband and I have agreed that the hour between 7 and 8 p.m. is the only time we're allowed to gripe about our various aches and pains. We call this hour the moan zone.
David's team.
Between 7 and 8 p.m.
Yes.
Is that the time you find the aches and pains are most noticeable?
No, it's because it's when the one show's on.
And what specific aches and pains, Joe? Because I will say you've been rather sprightly this evening.
Don't be patronising, Rob.
You did say that like you were playing Monopoly with your grandmother.
So, what are the aches and pains, Joe?
Well, I've got a bad knee.
I've got a bad knee, actually, as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's the cause of your bad knee?
I don't... life, you know.
Oh, life, OK.
The inferior design technique of the creator, should there be one. Anyway, this isn't about me.
Joe, what happens if you moan outside of those hours? Like, do you have, like, a moan jar where you...
No, the other one can say anything they like to the other one to shut them up.
Oh.
Including the C word. Coco.
In the hour, is it you first, 7 till 7:30, your aches and pains, and then his at 7:30 to 8, or do you alternate? I'll see your knee, I raise you, you know, a coccyx.
This is what David's like when he's chatting up women.
Well, it's not that formal, really.
Is this ringing any bells with you, Lee? I mean, in your household?
I would like to get to that age where you can do the chur where you press the button and it helps you up. Oh, that's nice. And then, you know what I mean?
I tell you what, this is going to steal all those younger viewers back from Netflix, isn't it?
How old are you, Bobby?
I'm a prime number. One more than a square number, but it's a prime number.
Oh, in that case, you are... Wait, I've got this. You are 36.
Yes.
Oh, you are a prime number?
I am a prime number, yeah.
37.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Yes, I mean...
10 points Gryffindor.
Thank you.
Joe can't believe that Lee has got the applause when she said 37 six times. 37.
We get clever students, we know they've got it correct. Like, in Parents' Evening, I would say Joe's doing really well, but sometimes students like Lee, we've got to encourage them in the lesson.
Oh, I like you, Bobby. All right, so what do we think? Joe, what are you thinking about this?
Well, it sounds true to me. I mean, I think it's a bit weird that we wouldn't believe other people.
Yeah.
Right, we may be having a bit of a problem here this evening.
OK.
Sam, what about you?
I quite like it. It's very constructive. I think it could be true.
I think we're going to go with true.
You're saying true. OK, Joe, was it true or was it a lie?
It is a lie.
Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to David's team to spot who is telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Graham. So, Bobby, what is Graham to you?
So this is Graham. When I won his competition, my prize was a trolley dash through a pound shop.
Joe Brand, how do you know Graham?
This is my old neighbour, Graham, and when my landlady was trying to sell my flat, I asked Graham to bang a bongo to put off any potential buyers.
And finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Graham?
This is Graham. All his bees flew away when I was looking after him.
So there we have it. Bobby's pound shop pal, Joe's noisy neighbour, or Lee's bee-less buddy. David's team, where do you begin?
OK, well, we'll start with Bobby. So what was Graham's competition?
So he was organising a competition to open a new pound store, actually 99p store.
So, sorry, he was organising a competition to open one?
So it's a competition where somebody gets to open the store.
So the prize was opening the new pound store?
Yes.
What was the competition?
Oh, so you had to submit some sort of, like, artistic, creative entry that you could display or show off at the opening.
The winner of the artistic competition would win the prize of opening the new pound store.
And get to do a trolley dash as well.
How long did you get to dash?
99 seconds. It would make sense, wouldn't it? 99p.
Like sort of. I suppose, or 99 years, or, yeah, fine.
Bobby, tell us about your artistic entry.
So...
Oh, the old Rob Brydon chat-up line.
So I wrote, like, a little, like, poem or a jig.
A what?
Sorry?
A jig?
A jig, like a few words to open it.
That's not a jig, is
a poem,
it? A jig is a dance.
But you could, if you had, in theory, a good verse, you could jig to it as well.
Now, do you recall any of this poem?
So I definitely remember one line was, at 99p store, bargains galore.
At 99p
And then everyone's, like, jigging.
Bargains galore.
And everyone's, like, jigging away at the opening.
So that was your artistic entry. What was it up against?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase that. What did that beat?
I think it's far more likely that Bobby's entry was actually the only one.
What sort of size crowd was it? How many people had this attracted?
60, 70, 80. That's a lot.
Why didn't you say about 70?
Because it's somewhere in the region of 60 to 80.
Well, that's about 70.
It could be, but it might be the lower end. Might be 60.
So 60-plus people have gone...
Maximum 80.
Apparently, they're opening a new pound store in the area. So that would be a great thing to do. Shall we go to that?
I don't want to go. Haven't you heard? Someone's reading a poem. Get my coat.
Yes, it's quite... It's not just a poem. It's one of those poems you're encouraged to jig around to.
We'll never get in. It'll be packed. Oh, I don't know, 60 to 80, probably 59 plus, but maybe towards the lower end. Let's go, darling.
All right, who next?
Joe. Graham is your former neighbour, is that right?
Yes, Graham is my former neighbour, and my landlady wanted to sell the flat I was living in, so I enlisted the help of Graham to just make it sound, obviously, like there was loads of noise all the time to put off the buyers.
So he would just listen out for when people were being shown round?
No, well, she would tell me when people were coming to look round.
Yeah.
Joe, didn't she think it was maybe a bad idea to let you be the person who shows people around? Because like, you're not incentivised to try and make it look nice because you're going to lose where your home if it's sold.
It happens more than you think in supermarkets. There are people at the supermarket showing you how to use the automatic checkout.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that's a turkey voting for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did he have the bongos, or did you have to supply them?
He had decorative bongos, which which I never really heard him play very much.
Is that like a male version of Vajazzled? I'd like the decorative bongos, please.
So did any of the prospective buyers be like, oh, that's a nightmare? Does that go on often? Like, did they fall for it?
It worked a treat. Not one single one said, really love a bit of bongos above my head of an evening.
And why was Graham so keen to help?
Because we knew each other. I'd have played the bongos for him if he'd asked me, so...
Honestly, a bottle of wine's enough.
Lee, remind us of your story.
Well, Graham is a beekeeper, and I was looking after his bees, and they all managed to escape.
Why were you looking after his bees? Because Graham is a beekeeper, and you are a comedian.
Yes, but he kept wearing the wrong shirts, and they kept landing on him.
So he has bees in his garden?
Yes.
And he's, what, going on holiday?
He's going away for 5 days.
And it's obviously filling in that number of pet passports for a few tens of thousands of bees. It's a nightmare.
How do you look after bees? Because you don't feed them, do you?
They actually have, like, a sugary, watery thing that you feed them.
Do you feed them individually?
Yes, you do. I breastfed them individually.
I'm imagining you've got the sugary water. What is the receptacle?
There's a little tray at the bottom of the hive. You pull it out, you pour it in, you close.
Do you have to put on a beekeeping costume to do that?
Not to do that.
OK.
But there was more to it than that. This is why the bees escaped.
Right.
It's when you try and get the honey that is the problem. And that's what the problem was.
Why did you try and get their honey?
Because I thought... He's
only away for 5 days.
Yes, but I'd actually seen beekeepers on the television, and I saw the process of the smoking thing and the costume.
And you thought you'd give it a go?
Well, it was there.
Unauthorised?
It was there.
So was the beekeeping costume not locked in his house?
No, no. It was in a shed. It's just a shed. And it was just hanging there. Everything was so neat, I thought, that's tempting. And then I saw the little thing.
The smoke thing?
No, the woman that was asthmatic. And I helped her, she left. And then there was the smoking thing. It's like a little... It's like a watering can, but it produces smoke if you light it.
Oh, right, so
and that kind of calms them down.
That sort of makes them a bit, you know...
You figured out how to use that watering can that emits smoke?
Well, I thought I had. That's the problem. There were these little things inside. You know those little things you light that smell nice and they're sometimes pyramid-shaped?
Like a little cone?
Cone, yeah, a little cone.
A cone?
Yes. So you light the little cone... It gives off a smell. And there was a box of matches just there as well.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
It was unbelievably convenient. And it was almost like a sketch.
There was a big sign saying, why not give it a go?
So you put the outfit on.
Yeah.
It's now... The thing is smoking. What did you do?
I tried to remember the TV documentary I saw, which was to take the lid off the roof.
Oh, Lord. Quite scary.
I'm a brave man. Rob, I'm a brave man.
Or an idiot. I mean, we'll never know.
There's a third option. I could be a liar.
So I decided to take the lid off.
Whoa, so you took the lid off before smoking them?
No, you take the lid off, then you smoke in a downward position. It goes down.
Smoking in a downward position?
You smoke down
Smoke
because...
rises.
No, you don't, because too much smoke can actually kill them. Because if you put it in the bottom and it goes up, it could kill them. It's like the old phrase, never smoke a beehive from the bottom.
So you start smoking from above.
I went... And so when you push it, it forces the smoke down before it floats back up. But it was like a dragon.
Yeah.
Right, it came out like that.
Right.
And the bees sort of like that, looked up like that. And then a few of them started to come out, but then the big thing happened. The Queen turned up.
How did you identify the Queen?
She had a crown. And smoke, bees, all fly away.
Right.
Including the Queen. Gone. Every one of them.
Every single bee?
Well, there was one in there that sort of went... Where'd everyone go? At this point, I'm panicking.
Go to a pet shop. I need 45,000 bees.
And he said, we don't sell bees. And he said, but you had one in your window yesterday.
Maybe they'd gone to an Airbnb. Now, all right, we need an answer. So, David's team. Is Graham Bobby's pound shop pal, Joe's noisy neighbour, or Lee's beeless buddy?
I don't think it's the pound shop thing, because that sounded like such a peculiar little sequence of events. I think it's probably the bongos.
You think it's probably the bongos? What do you...
Yeah, I like the bongo story. Although I think he could be a beekeeper.
So what are you going to settle on, then?
I'm feeling the bongo story. It's unlikely, but it's got to be the most likely.
You're going for the bongos. Graham, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Graham, and I let Bobby go on a trolley dash.
Yes, and we have a picture from the local newspaper to prove this. Look, there he is. Wow. Yes, Graham is Bobby's pound shop pal. Thank you very much, Graham. So please welcome this week's special guest, Christina. So, Joe, what is Christina to you?
Well, this is Christina. I once borrowed her car, then later watched in horror as a Frenchman crushed it with his lorry.
Right, Joe's carless companion. Kiri, how do you know Christina?
This is Christina, and my dog ate the tip of her finger.
Kiri's dog's dinner, and finally, David, what is your relationship with Christina?
This is Christina. When my list of implausible things that have happened to me that I could talk about on Would I Lie to You blew away, she returned it to me.
And so there we have it. Lee's team, where will you begin?
Joe, could you just remind me again what you said? Sorry.
I borrowed Christina's car, then later on a Frenchman crushed the car with his lorry.
So you borrowed her car?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I had to go to a gig in Nottingham.
And you've borrowed the car, you've gone to the gig, and then you've...
What happened was we got down the M1 and everyone said, let's stop and have breakfast like you do. 3 o'clock in the... 3 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Have you got other comedians in the car with you?
Yeah. And then I didn't realise, but we were actually in the lorry park and not the car park.
Did the truck reverse into your car?
It did.
All right, now. And you're in the car?
And we're in it,
So why
yeah.
didn't you blow the horn or get attention?
Because it wasn't my car.
But a horn is a horn.
Still allowed to use the horn. Still not touch that, it's not mine. I've got very dirty fingers.
Excuse me. It didn't have the horn in the middle of the steering wheel. Of course, that's the first thing I tried. I went, like that.
Sorry, where was the horn?
It was on the end of a stalk, you know.
How did you fit the stalk in there if you had all these...
You said it was a Frenchman driving this. How would you know? Did he go, ooh,
well,
le crush?
No, what happened was I was trying to find the horn, windscreen wipers...
As ever.
Yeah. And eventually I did find it, but his lorry had already hit the car and started to make a crunching noise because we were against the wall.
But it properly crushed?
No, not concertinaed it in, but it's...
Well, were you hit or were you crushed? You're the one that said crushed.
You know, crushed the front
The crumple
of it.
zone, I imagine.
He stopped I got out the car, went round to him, and he opened his cab and went...
C'est la vie!
I don't think he said
that's
"C'est la
life.
vie."
That's life!
So go on, talk us through the conversation when you saw Christina.
Well, I phoned her. I said, look, I'm really sorry, I've had an accident with your car.
And she said, not again. Have you not thought about putting plastic sheets down?
So the upshot of it was that I actually did manage to drive it home. It had the grill had sort of half fallen off.
And you drove home like that? Sorry, were you comedians or clowns? Oh, no!
Right, what about Kiri?
OK, so, Kira, you're claiming that this lady's fingertip is missing.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, this, because she is covering her hand, but she would have been told to do that to give her lie a chance if she's lying.
Cunning.
Yeah.
Is she a friend of yours?
She's my auntie.
Were you there when it happened?
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was in her kitchen.
In her kitchen. Your dog?
Yeah.
What sort of dog have you got?
I've got Jack Russell.
Little Jack Russell?
Why are you saying it like he's a little cute? He's taken someone's finger off.
It wasn't his fault. He didn't think it was a finger when he ate it.
What did he think it was? Ate it? Did he gulp it down?
Yeah.
So how much of the finger are we talking here?
So she was peeling potatoes.
Right.
But she was doing it too fast and she had her finger out like that. And then she was doing it really quickly and I was talking to her, so she was distracted. And she just went like that, and then a big curl of her finger.
That can happen now.
Well, hang on, so now you're saying she didn't... So it wasn't the end of the finger, it was the sort of fleshy bit?
Yeah, so like the tip came off.
Ooh.
And you're
then it
Jack
just...
Russell, like a shark. Smelt the blood in the air, leapt up.
And I'm presuming there was blood splurting everywhere?
Yeah, there was a lot of blood.
And what happens next? What did you do?
I didn't do anything, I was just panicking.
Because you thought, there's not going to be no chips now?
So my dad got like loads and loads of kitchen roll and just like held it down and then took her to A&E and she got some stitches.
The dog's still doing all right? The dog's
dead.
It's not... Really? That's a hell of a punishment. I'm not happy about the peeling technique, this away from you. Surely people peel towards them like that, don't they?
What?
Yeah.
No.
I peel towards.
You pull towards.
I do my carrots the other way.
Enough of the filth.
Right, now then, what about David's?
Remind us again, David.
Well, this is Christina.
Hi, Christina. Give us a wave.
And when my list of implausible things I could talk about on this show blew away, she returned it to me.
So hang on, where were you at the time?
I was in the garden.
How many things were on the list?
Oh, I mean, hundreds of things were on the list.
Well,
hundreds of amazing things that, unfortunately, I can't tell you about for obvious reasons.
So I just clarify, you've got hundreds of things on the list.
Hundreds of things on
this list. And the last few series have been the best of those things that have happened in your life?
Wow. Because I asked them to save the best stuff for after Series 30.
Okay.
In the hope that one of the pair of you will be dead.
You're in the garden to that
Yeah,
moment.
I've been copying the list out onto a fresh piece of paper.
From what?
From an older piece of paper that had become...
You're far more meticulous about this show than I am.
Yes. I keep a piece of paper with me at all times.
Yes, I know.
In my
you
diary.
need to in your condition.
Yeah. Anyway, it'd been folded up in my diary, and I've been adding these amazing, brilliant anecdotes which fans of the show will be familiar with.
Where does it blow to?
Over the wall.
Your heart must have gone into your mouth when you saw all that magic disappear.
Yeah, well, I thought this is a security issue.
Of course.
I don't want this blowing away in the world. Someone can photograph it, put it on social media, and there goes Series 31 to 36 of this show. Down the toilet like the paper from the other pocket.
And so it blows over the wall. So is this lady your neighbour?
No. Beyond the wall at the bottom of the house is some allotments.
Oh. And was she allotting at that time?
She was allotting.
Do you run down, scamper down?
Well, it blew initially. It rested briefly on
a marrow.
On a, as you rightly say, on a quivering marrow.
rested on the lawn, and then so I ambled towards it in quite a relaxed manner, which I later came to regret, because a second gust of wind took it right over the wall into the allotment.
How high is the wall?
100 feet.
Wow. Let's have another guess.
Are you sure?
Thank God for that trampoline.
It's quite a tall wall.
Right. Is it taller than you?
Not 100 feet. That's an exaggeration.
OK.
So suddenly Christina is just happily in her allotment and she sees your ghostly head rising above a high wall. What a horrible experience.
Well, I certainly do look disgusting. But the upshot was...
She passed you the piece of paper.
She consented to go and pick up the piece of paper.
Were you not tempted at that point, given you're so high up on the fence, to just jump the wall and go and get it?
No.
So what was the chain of events that ended up with Christina and you becoming friends? Did you say, oh, you handed that sheet of paper over ever so lovely, do you fancy ever meeting up for a cup of tea?
No, we've never met up for a cup of tea.
So why is Christina here?
Have you never seen this show before?
All right. We need an answer. So, Lee's team, is Christina Joe's carless companion, Kiri's dog's dinner, or David's helpful hero?
I think it's Kiri's dog's dinner.
Why?
I can see it happening. Seems plausible.
Joe's is plausible up until the driving home bit. You can't be crushed and drive home.
Which way are you leaning, Henning?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with Simon.
I can see Kiri and him. I can see him having a drink together
as well.
They look very similar.
Yeah.
So we think it's Kiri, do we?
Yeah.
OK.
You're going to say that it's Kiri and the finger and the dog? OK. Christina, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Christina, and Joe wrecked my car.
Yes, Christina is Joe's carless companion. Thank you very much, Christina. So please welcome this week's special guest, Billy. So, Ed, what is Billy to you?
This is Billy, my karaoke partner. When I let rip as Lionel Richie, he was my Diana Ross.
Joe, how do you know Billy?
This is my neighbour, Billy. I once stole his wheelie bin, then texted him instead of my husband to tell him what I'd done.
Right. Finally, Lee, what is your relationship with Billy?
This is Billy. He drives a barge. And once, whilst I was enjoying a view from a bridge, I accidentally dropped my ice cream on his head.
There we have it. So, is Billy Ed's karaoke companion, Joe's dustbin donor, or Lee's sticky skipper? David's team, where do you want to begin?
We'll start with Ed. What was the karaoke occasion?
It was a event at the Labour Party conference in Manchester.
What is Billy politically?
He's involved in the trade union movement.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
And did you know him before?
Of course, yeah.
And you were singing what song?
Endless Love.
Endless Love. OK. Can you do it now?
Do you know the bit in the middle?
Yeah. It's not the version of Endless Love I know. I'm going to be honest.
Well, have you not heard the Morse code version before?
You know it's a ballad, don't you, Endless Love? It's a slow ballad.
You see, I don't know anything about music, as you know. I disapprove of it. But Endless Love I've heard of as a song, and I reckon if I heard it, I would recognise it. That hasn't happened yet. And you said that you were Lionel Richie and that Billy was Diana Ross.
It's a difficult leap to make, to picture Billy. I mean, he's not a natural Diana Ross, is he?
No.
We don't know what Billy sounds like. That's the great handicap.
Or, indeed, what Diana Ross looks like off stage.
But when you were doing this, how many people were there?
About 250.
And you sang in front of 250 people?
Yeah.
Goodness me, all right.
And they called for more.
More what?
Drink.
More drink.
So this is like an evening event at the Labour Party conference?
Yeah, in 2010.
So who's there? Is it?
It was at the end of the Labour leadership election campaign.
Yeah.
I didn't win the election, but we had the best end of campaign party by far.
Well, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Perhaps you'd expended... The thing is, you shouldn't start planning the end of campaign party too early. Maybe the more slapdash end of campaign parties are, ironically, at the end of the more focused campaign.
All right, so who would you like to quiz next?
Joe, he is your neighbour.
Yeah.
I've been to your house.
Yeah.
I never saw him.
He was out with his mates, Stan and Fred. They were doing the Supremes that night.
Why did you target Billy's bin?
Because actually in the past, Billy had taken our bin.
Had you been binless since Billy stole your bin?
No, he swapped them over because our bin's nicer than his. And on a couple of occasions, because when the bin men come down the road, they don't always distribute them back outside the houses. That'd be like, so you have to go down the road looking for... And on a couple of occasions, I noticed he'd slid our bin into his drive.
He'd swapped your bins,
Yeah.
and had you swapped them back?
Yes. Yeah.
So
It was a chain reaction.
And had you then...
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I know what David's going to ask. Why did I steal Billy's manky bin?
Yes!
Yeah. Just for the hell of it, for a joke. I just took it, right, and I hid it.
Explain the text message thing. I didn't quite grasp that.
Well, I meant to send a text to my husband saying, guess what? I've just stolen Billy's bin, so knickers to him. Sorry, Billy. And unfortunately, I sent it to him.
Joe's husband is called Bernie, and he is called Billy. So it is possible that they are close on her phone.
Yes, that's
very good.
That is
very good.
Are you friends with Billy?
I thought you were going to say you're friends with
Bernie.
No, not really.
Not anymore, no. I'm not too close to Bernie, but I'm a bit too close to Billy.
And how did he react? Once you'd sent the text to him, did he respond to you? How did it go?
Yeah, he texted back, I don't think this is meant for me.
Right. I think here's the problem. I think Joe has definitely done this with someone in her neighbourhood. But is it Billy?
Whereas...
I don't know if it's him.
Whereas Lee definitely hasn't dropped an ice cream on a barge. We know that.
That's an assumption.
No, and I'm very happy to spend up to 40 minutes of my life pointlessly discussing it. So, Lee, tell me what happened with you and the ice cream.
I was on a bridge. I was admiring the view.
What bridge?
What is a bridge? It spans water.
Yes, which
Where
bridge?
is the bridge?
The bridge was just over the water.
Which water?
The water under the bridge.
Name the waterway.
I was on Richmond Bridge, which was in... Oh, no, where is it? Well, anyway, I was on Richmond Bridge, and the water in question was, in fact, the River Severn. I'm not an idiot. You won't be able to get me, mate. River Thames.
Yeah.
A barge went past.
Yeah. And you had an ice cream, so it was summer, was it?
Might have been. You can get ice creams in the winter nowadays, you know.
What sort of ice cream?
Yeah. Like that one, but something in my hand.
This is...
So, yes, I was holding an ice cream.
A cornet.
Pardon?
A cone or cornet,
yes.
as they're called.
Yeah, I was holding my ice cream.
What flavour of ice cream? What flavour of ice cream?
Your standard vanilla.
OK.
Standard vanilla?
Standard vanilla, yeah.
OK.
That was a lovely Adamant song, wasn't it?
You took chain reaction! You did it!
What events took place for the ice cream to fall out of your hand?
I was leaning over the bridge. I'd done all the things you're supposed to do when an ice cream is melting. I told the little un to lick the edges.
Yeah.
Right?
The little un?
The little un. Rob. So I've got my cone. I'm looking over the edge of the bridge like that, and I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the view, and I'm looking round. It's all very lovely. And I heard that noise you hear, that... And, of course, it was Rob speaking Welsh. And... Which apparently is Welsh for no... Lick your own edges.
And that's when, beneath my legs, beneath the bridge, beneath my legs, slid a large barge, and I looked over like that, and I thought, oh, that's a nice barge, I thought.
So you really craned over to get a good view of the barge.
I did.
Taking your ice cream with you across the thick stone balustrade of the bridge.
I leaned
over. Come with me, ice cream. Maybe you'd like to see as well. Come on, Vanilla. Let's have a look.
I didn't go the full, not 103, 90 degrees. I sort of did a 45. I sort of leaned over that. But as any man will tell you, or woman, you only have to lean, what? That much, and your ice cream can go.
OK, so Billy, can I move on to Billy?
Please move on to Billy.
Was he standing like that?
Standing exactly like that, and then in front of him a massive boat.
So he's not actually... Because he's standing a little bit like those women on the end of big boats used to...
I'll ask you a question, David, right? Is he standing more like a man on a barge or more like Diana Ross?
All right. We need an answer. So, David's team, is Billy Ed's karaoke companion, Joe's dustbin donor, or Lee's sticky skipper?
Only in the Beano would an ice cream land on a bald man's head in that way. Yeah. Although, what are you thinking, Billy?
I think it's between Joe and Ed.
Right.
Am I not getting a look in at all?
No.
Good, because even I was doubting it.
I could see Ed and Billy arm in arm singing karaoke.
I sort of think it's Joe, because I could believe that Joe would, you know, unnecessarily reignite some unpleasantness in her street.
All right, so what are you going to say?
It's a terrible, terrible story, but I'm afraid I think it's true.
You're going for Joe?
For
Joe.
I think we are going with Joe.
OK. Billy, would you please reveal your true identity?
I am Billy, and I was the Diana Ross to my Lionel Richie.
Yes. Billy really was Ed's karaoke companion, and it gets better.
Oh, my gosh.
It's interesting new definition of the word better.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a treat. The lyrics are on the auto cue just there, OK?
I can't see the words.
Now listen.
That's it. That's what we want.
Right, I'm going to hold it for you,
Well done, Rob.
OK?
Yeah.
Music maestro, please.
My love, there's only you in my life. The only thing that's right.
This is your bit, Billy. This is your bit.
My...
Not yet.
Oh.
My
first love, you're every breath I take, you're every step I make.
Ready, Ed?
And I want to share all my love with you. You know I can do. Oh, you know I can do. And you tell me how much you care. 'Cause all my love inside, I'll give it all to you. My endless love, my endless love. What are we doing?
So please welcome this week's special guest, Mick. So, Kelly, what is Mick to you?
Well, this is Mick, and I have a photo of him in my car to stop me getting road rage.
Joe, how do you know Mick?
This is Mick, and when we were bell ringing together in church, he was responsible for me being hoisted 20 foot up in the air.
And Lee, what's your relationship with Mick?
This is Mick. His surname is Partridge, and I once had to rescue him when he was stuck up a pear tree.
So, there we have it. David, where do you want to start?
OK.
Can you do me a favour? Can you start with these two? Because I might need a while.
Kelly, why have you got a photo of Mick to avoid road rage? How does that help?
Mick's known me for a long, long time. So he used to have to calm me down quite a lot on the track, and then he used to come and watch some of the races, because obviously when you're a young kid, you get your family members and friends and things to come. And so, because Mick used to always make me smile when I was stressed, he gave me this one photo.
And what is he doing in the photo?
Smiling.
Is he wearing anything, or...?
Well, luckily, it's just a headshot.
Do you ever get road rage, Ruth? Is that something that affects you?
I do get annoyed, but I don't show any anger or rage. I tend to just smile or blow a kiss or wave at them in an annoying fashion.
In an ironic
Ironic
man.
Yeah,
David, I would imagine you're an absolute brute at the wheel.
I am not legally allowed to drive a car.
Oh. Does that mean you drive a car illegally?
No, I haven't. What's the expression?
Passed your test?
Yeah, that's it.
Passed your test. Oh. But have you ever had lessons?
Oh, yeah. Ineffective in terms of engendering in my brain the knowledge of how to drive.
How many lessons did you have?
Up to 45,000.
OK. Who would you like to quiz next?
So, Joe, bell ringing.
Yeah.
Are you a keen bell ringer?
Not anymore.
Were you a keen bell ringer?
I was never really that keen on it, if I'm honest.
Have you ever been bell ringing?
I have been bell ringing.
Where was it and why did you give it a go?
It was in a church, David.
Yeah.
What was the church called?
I can't remember, actually. Saint Somethings.
No, that narrows it down.
Yeah. Can you remember where it was?
Yeah, it was in a village in Kent.
OK, that's plausible. If she'd said North Korea, we got a question. What was the scene? Well, picture the scene for us.
Well, what happened was I had been to church a few times. I didn't like it.
So when was this? What age were you?
About 12.
Right.
And so I could either have gone in the church choir or been a bell ringer.
And what happened? What did Mick do that led to
Well,
this?
it was a sort of prank that used to be played on new ringers. And what happened was that Mick said to me, "Can you hold this a minute?" And I just put my hand up without looking, held onto the rope and just went like that, right, like
20 feet up in the air.
Yes, I did.
How old was Mick then?
A couple of years older than me.
So you were about 12, he was sort of 14.
Oh, so he was a young lad doing it. I was imagining him at the age he is now.
It's before the service. You're doing the pre-service bell ringing.
Yeah.
Why aren't you on your own bell rope? What are you doing there that you're able to respond to his call, you know, grab hold of this? Which is a dangerous thing to respond to without looking in all sorts of circumstances.
Not quite as dangerous as your impression of bell ringing, which looks more like cow milking. You're going like this.
Sorry, I'm no sort of mime, but what is it more like that? Is that more like it?
I think it's
Happy Christmas!
You have to get it from one position to another position, and while you're doing that, that's when it's dangerous.
And how do you do that? Is that using the rope, sort of, you yank it along with the rope?
You have to pull the rope in a particular way.
Well, it'd be a nice chance for you to demonstrate how you pull it.
Well, when you're actually ringing a bell properly, you start by putting your hand up and getting the end of the bell rope, which is about that far above your head. You pull that down and you catch the fluffy bit, and then you pull that down with both hands, then you let go one hand and let it go right up, so it's like that. So that's ringing a bell. In order to get the bell in the right position, you pull it like this. And as you pull it... That's why he married me.
Now, what about Lee and his claim?
Yeah, no, that's not true.
OK, what was he doing up the pear tree, Lee?
He was rescuing a cat. No further questions.
Where was the pear tree?
next to the cat. The pear tree was in the grounds of a pub.
OK, and this was like in the beer garden?
We were having drinks outside in the beer garden.
Yeah.
We had a bit too many. We went back inside. It got dark, got late, and then we were staying in a local hotel. Everyone was going out to get the taxis home, and that's when I heard a scream. Help! Whoop a pear tree! And, I thought, what? I remember saying, hark.
Did you know Mick? Was he one of your friends who'd gone to
Mick,
the pub?
it turns out, I never met him before in my life. Mick, it turns out, was the landlord of the pub.
Right.
Right.
And which answers the question why we weren't getting served, but we'll forget that for a minute.
Yeah. How big a tree was it, Lee, and how high was Mick?
The pear tree was quite high, I would say. Using Mick as a measurement of 1, I would say it was about 5 Micks.
How did you actually rescue him?
So I shouted up, "What are you doing up there, mate?" And he said, well, this is what I heard at the time. Hey, came up to her. I said, you'd have to shout, mate, you're 5 Micks up.
He's right at the top. It's a 5 Mick tree and he's right at the top.
Yeah,
I was thinking he'd be about 3.5 Micks.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, he was sort of lying on the branch, so his head was only 4 Micks and a bit high.
Right.
And he said, well, go and get help. So I said, well, have you got any ladders? He said, yes. And I said, right, well, good luck. And off I went.
But how had he got up there? How did he manage to get up in the first place?
How did he manage? Well, he clambered up. So the cat was, it turns out, was at the top of the tree, right at the top. I'm talking 5.5 Micks because there was a thin branch on the top. So he's basically... A pear tree is full of... That's the word.
For a very brief period of the year.
Yes.
Yes,
Is he up there at...
Well, would you believe that this cat was partial to a pear? So it wouldn't have happened any other time. He says he's always like this, his country bloke. Always like this, he is.
But he wouldn't go for a near pear. Not
or one of the many that drop on the floor.
Not one that had fallen.
David, it was the last pear. He'd eaten the others.
So it wasn't full of pears. There was only one pear
It was full
at
of
the top,
no.
like an angel.
He was full of pears when he started climbing. He'd been up there for 2.5 seasons. So off I went and got the ladder, clambered up the first bit of the ladder, and I just sort of helped Mick down onto the ladder, and we became lovers. So anyway,
all right, well, we need an answer. So David's team, is Mick Kelly's calming companion, Joe's bell-ringing buddy, or Lee's partridge in a pear tree?
I think it's Joe that's telling the truth. Do you know why? Because of a rope action.
You think it's Joe?
Yeah, and I don't know what it would take to calm you down, Dame Kelly. I don't think Mick is the answer, though. Oh.
He looks calm now. You want to see him on the top of a pear tree gripping a cat. Absolutely invincible.
What are you thinking, David?
I think it's Joe, that's what I think.
You think
yeah.
the bell ringing? Ruth thinks...
Possibly.
Bell ringing. Bill?
Yeah, I'll go with bell
the
ringing.
bell for Bill.
Yeah.
OK. Right. They all think it's Joe. Mick, would you please reveal your true identity?
My name is Mick, and I was responsible for Joe being hoisted 20 feet off of the ground.
Yes, Mick is Joe's bell-ringing buddy. Thank you very much, Mick. Thank you. So, please welcome this week's special guest, Andy. So, Joe Brand, what is Andy to you?
Sandy, and he once helped me break into an ex-boyfriend's house through the dog flap so I could steal all his pants.
Right. Paul, how do you know Andy?
This is Andy. He is a great believer in telekinesis, and together we conduct experiments to try and move objects with the power of our minds.
OK, and finally, David, what's your relationship with Andy?
This is Andy. I once accidentally nudged him into a fountain whilst trying to take a photo of a tank.
Well, there we are. Joe's fellow pants pincher, Paul's psychic sidekick, or David's fountain friend. Lee, where do you want to start?
Joe. Just talk us through the incident again.
Well, I was probably about 18-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
And
You just got in from a long hitch, had you?
Yeah. And Andy was a friend of mine. I was going out with this bloke who was a millionaire. We went to a party next door to his house. he ended up snogging someone else at this party.
All right. Who did he snog?
A woman with blonde hair. I can't remember her name.
Roisin.
So I was quite cross, and I just wanted to do
Secret
something
revenge.
to make my feelings.
And you decided to go through the dog flat?
Yeah.
What kind of dog did he have?
A St Bernard. No. No, he had a fat Scotty dog.
Like a Highland Terrier?
Yeah.
They're tiny.
I know, but I was thin at the time, so I used to be
No,
thin
you
when I
you
was
might
a
have been
teenager.
thick, but you weren't, like, 1 foot high. Terriers are like big
I didn't
cats.
walk straight through the... I wriggled through it, like...
Wriggled?
Yeah.
What was Andy's part in this?
Andy's part in it was that he helped push me through from the garden.
See, not as easy now, is it? You needed a friend to get you through that
Well,
time.
a bit, yeah, and he kept watch in case...
Case what?
The neighbours noticed.
Yeah, best way to stop anyone noticing someone going for a dog flat is to have someone stood up next to him.
Yeah, a complete stranger standing next to the door is a bit suspicious.
Well...
When you got in the house, what did you do?
Went to his bedroom.
Yeah.
Got all his pants out of the drawer and all his pants out of the washing basket. Threw them out into the garden. And then we went and chucked them in a bin and then went to the pub or something.
Why the pants? If he's a millionaire, why didn't you take... What, if you were going to break in and risk getting arrested, why didn't you steal something or break something or write on, like, a painting?
Because a bit of me wanted to do something that he would think was a bit weird. And
Did he ever
possibly
find...
not know it was me.
Did he ever find out?
I never saw him again.
So you don't know to this day if he ever...
No.
He knows now.
He knows now, yeah.
Well, hopefully he's dead, so he doesn't. Joke, everyone.
The good thing is, Joe, as long as you've moved on... Blimey.
Right, who else would you like to quiz?
OK, Paul, so you believe that it's possible to move an object with the power of thought?
Yeah, it's not just possible, we've done it.
What things have you moved?
We moved a vase.
You moved the vase? Right. How far did the vase move?
About half an inch.
Right.
About.
How many times have you done this, Paul?
We've moved things about 3 or 4 times.
What other things have you moved?
We moved a crisp packet.
Well, they do... Was the window open, by any chance?
No, it was full, and there was no wind. There's no way that could have moved. It turned.
It turned. How do you know it just didn't move on its own, without telekinesis?
Well, because if you put a crisp packet in conditions with no wind, it won't just turn.
It could go on its own if it was walkers.
But it's got air in it.
Just saying. Or skips.
Oh, skips, yeah.
Can you move fruit?
Oh, hello.
But, you know, I couldn't... It would take some time. It takes... And it doesn't work in this kind of environment with sceptical people watching, everyone all just sort of judging.
Is it better with gullible people?
No.
You've moved a vase, a crisp packet.
Yeah.
You said there were 2 others. What are they?
A remote control.
A remote control. Remote control, what was the last?
A cushion.
Have you ever visually seen anything move, or have you closed your eyes, opened them, and it's moved?
Yeah, we've always closed our eyes.
Yeah.
And...
Do you know what? I think I know what's going on.
No, but neither of us moved. We were both at opposite ends.
No, I know. I'm not doubting you, Paul. I'm just saying your friend Andy might be a bit of a charlatan.
What about David?
Where did this happen, then? Come on, tell us all.
It happened at a military museum in France.
Military museum in France. He's taken a photograph of a tank.
Which military museum in France?
Good question.
It was called the Musée des Blindés.
Well, what does that mean in English?
I think it means there's a museum of armour.
Right. He knows I can't argue with him. Say anything.
Whereabouts in France?
It's sort of... I think it's quite near... It's sort of in the middle-ish on the left.
Right. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah. And what were you doing there?
I was looking round the museum.
Museums, tank museums?
Yeah.
Do you do this often?
Well, we were... Me and I've got a wife now.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm surprised...
It's definitely a lie.
To be honest, I'm surprised that's never come up on the card. You'd never have believed it.
So this is quite recently?
It's, last summer.
Last summer, you said, darling, it's time for you to know the truth about me. Now it's time to know the real me. Museums, France, come on!
I knew you had a microphone in our bedroom.
So, talk us through the incident with Andy and how that actually happened.
Well, outside the sort of front bit, there's like a piece of artillery and a tank. And I wanted to take a picture of the tank as well, I might. You know.
What sort of tank was it, David?
It was a German tank.
Was it?
A Tiger tank.
A Tiger tank?
Yeah.
So you've taken a photograph of your granddad's tank, and then... and how did it crop up? I want to know the actual mechanics of how he ends up
I've not taken the picture at this point. I'm trying to get the tank in frame. I was backing away, you know, just slowly, and there was a sort of pondy, fountainy bit, which people...
A what?
A pondy, fountainy bit.
Oh, right. I genuinely thought you were speaking French again.
Yeah.
Like a pondy, fountainy bit.
Ah! And I just...
You backed into it?
I backed it, I just sort of with my elbow.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, he was obviously...
He was obviously what?
It was obviously... I don't know, I was about to say, you know, I was about to see how that sentence finished myself, Lee. But now I need another run-up.
Here we go. This is what I want to know. You've backed into him.
Yeah.
There can only be two things. He's either looking at you, and for some reason beyond anything, he just thought, well, I better just stand here and be pushed into the fountain, or he's facing the fountain, in which case, why is a man facing a fountain so far? Was he weeing into the fountain?
He was standing on the rim, eating a baguette.
Was he?
OK.
Was he? Was he wearing a beret? Did he have onions round his neck?
No.
How deep was the water into which he fell?
About 8 feet.
8 feet?
Not 8 feet. Not 8 feet. No, it was about a foot.
All right, we need an answer. So, Lee's team, is Andy Joe's fellow pants pincher, Paul's psychic sidekick, or David's fountain friend?
David's fountain friend.
You think it's David's fountain friend?
Without a doubt.
Well, please tell me at least there's a doubt.
I've never felt more confident.
Wow. Ray, are you of sound mind?
I agree. I think
agree as well?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, it was David.
Lee, you're not as sure?
I'm not sure it's David. Usually I would have dismissed someone pretending that they've moved a vase half-inch. There's something about Paul that makes me think, yeah, he looks like the kind of man who, in his own deluded mind, thinks he has done it. And which in itself is a truth, isn't it? If you think it's true, then it's true. But I think Joe's stories is the most likely because I've known Joe for some years and I can confirm she is bitter and twisted.
So your two teammates say one thing, you say another. What are you going to do?
So we'll go with David's
she's
ludicrous story and say that it was David.
You're saying it's David. OK. Andy, would you please reveal your true identity?
Hi, my name's Andy, and I helped Joe steal her ex-boyfriend's pants.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy, thank you very much. Please welcome this week's special guest, Liz. Welcome, Liz. So, start with you, Joe. What is Liz to you?
Well, this is Liz, and when she was a baby, I accidentally dropped her in a pond.
There will be time. There will be time. Larry, would you tell us what Liz is to you?
This is Liz, who taught me basic bar skills before I went to work in the Queen Vic.
OK. And, David, what is Liz's connection with you?
This is Liz, and together we are writing a guide to the castles of Britain.
Extremely plausible. Lee's team, where do you want to start?
I think we've got to start with Joe. What are you talking about?
When I was about 7.
7?
7 or 8, yeah. Me and my two brothers were looking after Liz, and she was a baby. She was about, I don't know, well, how old is a baby?
Well, I don't know. You decide, Joe. It's your story.
Who was the oldest looking after the baby?
Yeah, that's what...
my brother.
He was how old?
He's a year and a half older than me.
So he was 9 and a half,
yeah.
And his role was the chief leader of looking after the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what a great job you all did, may I say. Apart from the dropping it in the pond bit.
Why were you near a pond?
Because I lived in the country, and, ooh, there's ponds in the country, Carol.
Being rude to Carol Vorderman's not going to get you out of trouble, Joe.
To be honest,
How did the actual dropping happen in the pond?
We were playing catch with her.
Oh, come on, Pete. You were playing catch?
We were just kind of trying to make her laugh, just throwing her to...
Right.
I think we should move on to castles.
I absolutely think we should move on to castles.
Yeah.
with the first question, what's your favourite and why, Dave?
I have two favourite castles, and they're because castles I discovered as a child.
Right.
And they, not on my own, they've been previously discovered by, One is a castle in Wales, in the Mumbles, near Swansea, and that's called Oystermouth Castle.
It's called what?
I
Oystermouth Castle.
can vouch for that.
Yeah, but hang on, what are you thinking
But
about?
what kind of castle is that?
That's a sort of Norman... I think a sort of late Norman kind of castle with a keep and a...
What do you like about Oyster Castle?
Oystermouth.
I like it because it's quite a sort of traditional, old-fashioned castle with a moat and
An
a wall
old-fashioned
around it.
castle?
They all tend to be traditional.
It's amazing, that.
As opposed to these new modern ones with stone cladding.
It has always been irritating to me that very few castles completely adhere to what I imagine being the typical castle.
What was yours again, Larry?
Larry, yeah, what was yours again?
Definitely.
This is the lady who taught me my basic bar skills for when I was working in EastEnders.
And what are the
Working
three
at
most important bar skills that you now have?
My character is supposed to have spent years working in the bar and pub business. So, you know, it's timing. It's not just a case of, you know, pull a pint. You've got to pull a pint and be talking to a customer, taking money.
What sort of lines might you say, Larry?
You might say, how you doing, sunshine? Or
Did you go to her or did she come to you?
No, no. You go to her.
And is that near the studios?
Like, this has been years of,
They've been doing this for evidently 8 years. I've only been there for a year and a half, and it's just an induction thing. So automatically, what happens?
Did Barbara Windsor go?
Barbara Windsor had to go after, because she's been there for sort of nearly 20 years.
So for 20 years, then they said, OK, it's been OK so far, but we've decided, suddenly... The first 14 years was great, but now it's about time you had a bit of bar training, because we can't keep putting up with you missing that pint pot anymore, pouring it over your head, and then your bra falls off.
We need an answer. So, Lee's team. Is Liz Joe's pond playmate, David's fellow castle expert, or Larry's bar tutor?
What do you think, Russell?
I think castle.
Why do you think castle?
Because Dave's an intelligent man and will have lots of little hobbies and stuff.
This is definitely Larry. It's definitely. It's not Joe, 'cause that's completely inconceivable. You would not give a very small baby to 3 very young children, even in the 60s.
Who went in the water to get the baby out?
My brother Bill.
No.
What, because he had the right beak shape?
I'm going to push you for an answer, Lee.
Larry, say Larry.
I'll say Larry.
I'll go with it too, say Larry.
You're saying it's Larry?
I don't think any of them are.
OK.
It's true.
Liz, would you like to reveal your true identity?
I know Jo. She dropped me in a pond when I was a baby.
Yes. We've actually got a photo of the two of you together.
Got the fear in her face.
Liz, congratulations. I don't know why I'm congratulating you for being thrown into a pond. And thank you so much for coming. Liz. Yes. It's actually true. Liz was dropped in a pond as a baby, and it was Joe who accidentally dropped her. And then accidentally skipped away laughing. She also accidentally strapped her to a breeze block and tied her up in a sack full of kittens. But that's Joe, ever so clumsy.